Good evening. Thank you for joining us on this new war diary. On the 388th day of the war, here are the main highlights of the day at 7 p.m. Beirut time. We begin with Lebanon, where Israeli raids intensified in several regions of the country. The most recent strike targeted a vehicle on the Beirut-Damascus highway near Araya, and although the car was hit, it managed to escape. The identity of the person targeted remains unknown, but they are believed to be alive. This incident, amid escalating violence, raises questions about Israeli targets and objectives in the region. In southern Lebanon, Israeli bombings intensified last night. The city of Tayo was struck, claiming the lives of 3 members of a single family. In Ain Bal, a deadly bombing killed 7 people, including a nurse and 3 first responders. And 24 others were injured in this attack, with rescuers still struggling to extract survivors from the rubble. Other villages like Al-Bazuriya, Ma'arake, and the Tayo Coastal Nature Reserve suffered extensive damage. In the village of Al-Borj al-Shamali, an airstrike killed 5 people, including 2 paramedics. The situation remains critical, with ongoing rescue operations. Villages near Nabatieh in the south also endured consecutive strikes, causing severe damage to the government hospital and the Najda Shabiya hospital. The toll on human lives and infrastructure has been heavy, affecting the region's medical facilities and limiting the access to care for the injured. Now, in the Bika region, an airstrike on Shmestar killed 3 people and injured 3 children, in addition to completely destroying their home. Rescue teams are still searching for survivors. Also in the news today, Hezbollah announced a series of attacks on Israeli positions, notably near the Fatima Gate and the area between Al-Manara and Margaliot. During the night, Hezbollah issued warnings in Arabic and Hebrew, advising northern Israeli residents to evacuate immediately in anticipation of an imminent attack. These warnings mirror the strategies used by Israel to minimize civilian casualties, though the effectiveness of this warning remains limited. In the capital, Beirut, during a parliamentary session on Monday, Lebanese deputies highlighted the urgency of finding solutions for the hundreds of thousands of displaced people before winter's arrival. They stressed the need to expedite the establishment of shelters and ensure the security of both the displaced and the hosting communities. The government has been urged to intensify efforts to locate accommodations and secure essential needs, including access to water, medical care, and food. The Lebanese deputies also called for an enhanced coordination between security, military, and municipal authorities to protect fleeing populations and provide adequate support to the host families. Of course, there is logistical challenges that remain, particularly in terms of distributing the humanitarian aid and ensuring the transport in the areas affected by the bombings. Concerning the human toll since the start of the war at 7 p.m. Beirut time, the Gaza Ministry of Health announced on Monday that 43,020 Palestinians have been killed since the start of the war. The ministry also added that more than 100,000 have been injured. In Gaza, the Palestinian Civil Emergency Service reported that around 100,000 people are besieged in the cities of Jabalia, Beit Lahya, and Beit Hanun without any medical or food supplies. The situation thus remains critical as the relentless Israeli aerial and ground offensive continues. On the international level, Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, a mediator in the conflict between Israel and Hamas, proposed a 2-day ceasefire on Sunday, during which 4 Israeli hostages would be exchanged for Palestinian prisoners. Although the terms of this proposal remain unclear, Sisi mentioned negotiations that could begin within 10 days toward a total ceasefire and the facilitation of humanitarian aid. In Iran, the head of the Revolutionary Guards warned Israel of bitter consequences after an Israeli attack on Iranian military sites. General Hossein Salami, quoted by the Tasnim agency, stated that Israel failed in the sinister objectives during the Saturday airstrikes. In response, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian declared that Iran does not want war, but will defend, and I quote, the rights of its nation and of its country. Meanwhile, Iraq condemned Israel's use of its airspace to conduct the strike against Iran. In a letter of protest addressed to the UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres and the UN Security Council, Baghdad denounced this blatant violation of its sovereignty. Finally, Israeli sources indicate that Mossad chief David Barnea traveled to Qatar to meet CIA Director William Burns and other Qatari mediators, hoping to reach an agreement for the release of hostages. These negotiations, of course, underscore the complexity of the situation, with international actors attempting to de-escalate a conflict. That's all for today. Join us tomorrow for a new update on the situation. Until then, you can stay informed through our website www.thisisbeirut.com.lb and on all our social media. Thank you.